Hello and welcome to the Radical Podcast, inspired by the essence of the word radical, proceeding from the root. We explore the roots of metaphysical wisdom.
This season is all about divination, tarot, and the power held within our intuition. This is The Radical with Nicole and Christina, the two metaphysical girls in the material world. Hello and welcome to The Radical. I'm Nicole.
And this is Christina.
Today's episode is about the Hermit tarot card, our first tarot card that falls within this season of Virgo.
Yes, Virgo season is upon you, listeners. There's a note all the way at the bottom that I want to hear more about under your personal notes with this tarot card that I was like, oh, what? And we'll save it for the end, listeners.
I'm intrigued.
I'm going to jump into my list of qualities, properties, and attributes. The card name is the Hermit, but it has been called the Old Man, the Poor Man, which I saw that more than once, so I'm including it in the list. A lot of times if you just see something in passing, but after I've gotten to know this card better in researching this podcast, I really can see where the poor man comes from, but it's not part of the personality that I've learned for this card. But also time. Have you seen that?
I did see that in one of my books.
Sometimes there is some hourglass or some time references in this card. Okay. The card number is 9. Which is an I and an X in the Roman numeral system. The element is earth. We're moving out of Leo season, which is fire, and after fire is earth. That is how the 4 elements move through the zodiac year. Earth, grounding. Oh, I'm looking forward to it. I'll tell you what, I don't need any more fire in my life right now. This Leo season burned me up. If you're doing a yes/no reading with this card, it's a maybe or a no. But it is not a go get 'em card. This card is very much in that type of reading. Maybe you should think about it. Maybe you need to gather more information. Look within yourself for your answers. Trust your intuition. But this card to me is gather more information.
Very Virgo. To gather more information, do more research.
And the zodiac sign is Virgo. And you remember, listeners, if you listened to last year, Virgo is all work and no play, ? The highlights from that podcast is life can't be lived in a state of perfection. It cannot be lived in a state of perfection. We cannot let perfection get in the way of good. Balancing who we are today with who we want to be tomorrow. I remember talking about chop wood and carry water in this podcast. Do you remember when we were talking about that last year? And that we can get lost in the details of day to day, but we can also get lost as in we start doing them mechanically or automatically. And we don't want to do that. We always want to be mindful. But being lost in the details of day to day is the beauty and the harmony and the balance that are in day to day details. Doing everything, like how you do one thing is how you do everything. You do it with love. You do it with mindfulness, even if it is chopping wood and carrying water on the path to enlightenment. All the little things we do every day add up into who we want to be for tomorrow. So that was the Virgo podcast, little highlights from that, if you remember. And the Virgo season starts on the 23rd of August, listeners. So depending on when you're listening to this, you might be right in there to the 22nd of September, leading up into I love saying the word autumnal, the autumnal equinox. The fall equinox. We're entering a mutable season. Virgo is mutable, which means it's at the end of the year where there's a lot of transitionings happening. End of summer, harvest, bringing in the fruits of our labor. The planet is Virgo's Mercury. It's the 6th house. The mantra for this house is I analyze. It's the house of health. It's the house of service, the house of pets, health, illness, and everyday obligations, echoing and overlaying on top of that same Virgo energy.
This is where my North Node is, in the 6th house. And the 6th house also deals with daily routines and diet. And I wrote on our notes, literally, I'm having a heck of a time with these themes, including health and illness. And when you said life can't be lived in a state of perfection, that struck me today because I don't know if this is like a North Node in Aries in the 6th house thing, but I want the perfect routine, but I think that is elusive and it doesn't exist. So I don't know. I've been having this personal reckoning with illness, routine, diet. I'll keep you posted.
I mean, and that was, I mean, I'll say it again. Don't let perfect get in the way of good, because we can make 12 good decisions that lead up to a good day. That's still better than just because it can't be perfect, we just throw the whole day out the window and 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 swim in the self-sabotage and self-limiting beliefs swimming pool. Okay, crystal. Labradorite. I thought, even before I looked up what the crystal was using the website, well, I'll look it up. I'll tell you guys what it is later. We'll put it in the notes page, because labradorite looks like it's lit from within. So I immediately thought of this stone, and then as it turns out, the place where I was looking up the crystals, they agreed, they agreed with me, because it's the stone of transformation, spiritual awakening, and access to hidden knowledge. I liked it because it looked like it was lit from within, like it's like a glowing lantern inside the stone. But I didn't really have any other thoughts about any other crystals for Hermit.
Yeah, nothing's really coming to mind.
Do you know
for me?
there's a stone called the snowflake obsidian?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe something like that, because this, like the snowflake pattern is hidden in the pooly dark inkiness of the stone. Maybe something like that too could make us think of that hermit energy. Snowflake obsidian. The correspondences for this card, the Hebrew letter is Yod, which is a literal, like the translation is the hand or an armed with a closed fist, which is action, creative work. For the meaning to go with the Golden Dawn's assignments of the Hebrew letters to the tarot is prudence. In the Tree of Life pathway, it's the 10th pathway. And oh, incidentally, Yod also means 10. It's the 10th pathway between Chesed, grace, and Tefareth, harmony and balance. It's between those two. It's a place of introspection between those two.
Yod is also an astrological shape.
Oh.
So we have.
Does it look like the top of the hermit's head? Is it like a little angle? Because there's also this note that the letter looks like the shape of the top of the hermit's robe.
I don't
know.
No. So there's squares and trines in astrology. And then there's a yod, which forms, I think Pam Gregory calls it like a skinny triangle. But yod in astrology means like the hand of God. And so it's a
Oh,
very like positive.
okay. Yeah, there's a lot more. Listeners, we'll do a year of the Hebrew alphabet and Kabbalah. We won't even get to everything because it is so multifaceted, but there is a lot of shapes corresponding to the letters and what those letters look like. I'm not surprised that there's a shape that's called that as well in astrology. The chakra in the one of the books I'm using, they have the heart seed chakra for soul remembrance. I am only familiar with the 7 major chakras. And then I did a tiny little internet search, and the internet then informed me that there are 114 chakras. 7 major, 21 minor, and 86 micro. There's 108 in the body and 6 outside the body, and I want to know every single one. We will be in a year or 2 years, we will have the season of the chakras, listeners, and we will learn all of them together. But every now and then, if you see, and I've seen chakras listed that I did not, like there's chakras in the palms of the hands. There's a lot of chakras, and you'll come across them occasionally. Just know that there's 7 major, but there are more. And we'll get to that. We'll get to that, Nicole. We'll get there. But I like the third eye for this out of the 7 major. As I sat and contemplated this card and the chakras I was familiar with, I felt like this was a third eye because the third eye helps your perception of the world around you, but also the world within you and the connection between the two. And I feel like that hermit energy is gathering information, then processing that information.
Yeah, I think the third eye fits for this card.
Let's talk about symbols. The lantern. When we do our card comparison, there is some form of lantern in almost every card. And the lantern is the guiding light, is the knowledge, wisdom, information. It is the light of knowledge. And it is also guiding you on your path to enlightenment.
I just love this phrase that I did not come up with. I heard it through Nightlight Astrology, and this phrase was used in a different context. I think the speaker was using it in to describe Jupiter exalted in Cancer. But anyway, the phrase is the yang of the yin. So it's the little dot in the yin yang symbol of light in the darkness.
Okay.
And that's how the lantern, that phrase just kept coming to mind when I was looking at all my cards. The yang of the yin, the light and the darkness, that spot of hope when you are doing a radical personal inventory or shadow work, or you're really kind of going through a dark night of the soul. That lantern is that speck of light guiding you.
Yeah. The staff that the character is holding, I immediately thought of support and stability, which is some of the meanings for the staff. But also I saw that it could also mean authority and power, meaning that the character with the lantern is also a character that has gained experience and we'll talk about the mountains in a minute, and the mountains representing the staff that they have achieved a higher level of knowledge and a higher level of status.
And I saw the staff as representing a willingness to lead others.
Yeah.
And part of that, I think, once you've walked your own healing journey, you have wisdom to share. So it's leading others from a place of experience, not so much like a leadership role in like a company.
Mm-hmm.
It's different, but this idea will come up again because one of my cards is actually renamed the guide.
Okay, that makes sense.
So more on this idea.
Yes. Then we have the mountain imagery. And mountains, I just said attainment, growth, prosperity, but also solitude and seclusion, depending on where the characters are in relationship to the mountains and where the mountains are in the graphic representation of the card. And also, listeners, where you are when you look at the card and what the mountains mean to you. And this might be, I mean, I do love the lantern, but I never really thought very deeply about the robes. In almost all of our cards, there is an element of robes. of clothing done in a specific way, and robes as a symbol of solitude, as a symbol of being hidden from view. But I always see the robe as a way of blocking yourself from the world. I guess that would be seclusion, but also just sort of like you're creating your own little environment in your robe. Like whether you're covered in the robe physically or the robe is your blanket at night, the robe could be, you know, your aura, your charged aura of energy around you. And as a representation on the cards, the colors of the robes, and we'll get to that in the card comparison, can be an expression of what the author feels that what feels what the author feels the importance of that seclusion means. I don't even know if that was a proper sentence. But robes as a symbol is very powerful. Think about how many times we've seen a naked figure and a robed figure, a clothed figure and a robe versus a robed figure. It means something different to have a robe on versus clothes. The themes for this card: period of introspection, seclusion, and reassessing. But also, as Nicole said, you're also holding the lantern up and aloft. You are also a guide. You're also a lighthouse. If you've ever heard that phrase, be a lighthouse. Be a person who shines in the darkness for other people, and also, you know, sharing the wisdom that you've attained. It's a gathering more information, taking a step back in that element of seclusion, and evaluating and reevaluating. To talk about the seasons, this is a completion of the first half of the zodiac year, the sixth house. Libra is going to start with the seventh house, which is another cardinal house. And that takes us into the if you look at the wheel of the year in two halves, one half is you are growing up and growing out and learning what you like and what you don't like. And you have an internal, selfish, shall we say, focus. And from the seventh house onward, now it is you and other people. It is you and other people's money, other people's business, and how it affects your business and your money and relationships and partnerships. And you're going from day-to-day activities into big careers and bigger, deeper knowledge, longer travel. The Hermit tells us, or gives us the message right here and now at this point, to pause before you're moving onward in your journey, to take that radical self-inventory, to change our minds, gather more evidence, even sometimes just to watch and learn. But it is a point where you're about to enter another phase of your life, another phase of this year, another phase of your hero's journey. So to me, this is a very welcome card. There are just a few little things I'm going to touch on with the history. Some of the older cards have some really interesting ties to the Masons, the Order of the Masons, the six-pointed star being the Seal of Solomon or the Star of David, which is the lamp of truth. A lot of the Rider Waite Smith deck, I'm going to say it right, was the deck that really solidified the imagery of the old character and the lantern. Previous to that, there was an element of an older figure with an hourglass, an older figure with just a stick that was hunchbacked and leaned over. And I want to say that bit about the hermit's hood shaped like the Hebrew letter Yod. It looks a little bit like an apostrophe. It looks like the back half of the hood, echoing the symbology of that. But that was related to enlightenment and divine guidance as it fits into the tree of life. And then, like I said, the earlier decks had the old man, the hunchback. And it really symbolized this passage of time and mortality, because this was an end, in quotation marks, of this part of the Wheel of the Year, in this part of the hero's journey, in this part of the cycle of life. This was an end, but also a beginning, right? So that's a little history there, and where that imagery came from, and how it developed into the hermit that we kind of see today.
So this card is the 9th card in the Major Arcana, and in numerology, 9 can signify completion or nearing completion. And because we are approaching the end, we're also thinking that this is a time to be ready to receive, and usually something beneficial.
Mm-hmm.
It also symbolizes wisdom, solitude, and being alone. There's also an element of the 9 representing a surrender to death and rebirth cycles.
Mm-hmm.
So in numerology, 9 is the last number in the cycle. Then we start back over at 1, which would be the beginning. And so 9 brings to mind this idea that we need to let go, because resistance will only make the process harder. And I wrote down, I have fact checked this. Resistance versus allowing definitely makes the whole process much more uncomfortable than it needs to be.
Yes.
It's definitely hard and scary to let go of what we know, but in doing so, we can let the new and the unknown come in, even if it is unfamiliar, letting that new cycle begin. And lastly, 9 also represents love, support, and compassion from the divine. And it reminds us to put our faith and trust into the divine, a higher power, the universe, whatever that may be for you. And trusting that life will unfold the way that it's meant to, that things are happening for you, even when it feels like a challenge.
Mm-hmm.
Remembering that it's happening for you. Astrologically speaking, Christina mentioned that the Hermit is tied to the zodiac season of Virgo, which I have as beginning August 22nd this year.
Oh.
Depending on your time zone. I have a planner that's all Pacific time zone. So it could be the 23rd, depending where you live.
Exactly. Look it up. Look it up as it relates to you, listeners.
There's a new moon in Virgo on August 23rd. So the sun will move into Virgo, and then almost immediately we have our new moon in Virgo. On September 7th, we have a full moon and total lunar eclipse in Pisces. And the sun is still in Virgo. Pisces is that sign of opposition. On September 21st, we have a second new moon in Virgo.
Wow.
I'm unclear if this is considered a black moon, because a blue moon is the second full moon in a month. And this might be a black
How
moon where
about
you have a
that?
second new moon in a month.
Oh, I'll have to look
in
that
the
up.
same zodiac sign. And there are currently no planets or celestial bodies in the sign of Virgo except for the South Node, which is why the eclipses are happening. The North Node is in Pisces, so the eclipses are occurring during Pisces and Virgo seasons.
On the opposite side of the wheel, on the opposite side of the circle. How about that?
The South Node is at 18 degrees of Virgo, and the nodes, if you remember, travel backwards. So for card comparisons, my Zodiac Tarot deck, I love the art on this card. A little bit further down in the notes, I wrote that I wanted to get this specific lantern tattooed.
That was my shock when I saw your notes. I'm like, Nicole's talking about another tattoo? What?
Yes, specifically this lantern. I really, really like it. And I like the cloak or the robe in this card's art. Like I want to find it and buy it. It looks really comfortable. Like I would wear it, you know?
It looks really soft and flowy, and it's full of stars, right? Oh, that's, yeah.
Yes, I like a lot of what's happening in this card. There's also a waning crescent moon. And I went back to our notes on phases of the moon, and we called the waning crescent phase the healing balm for our soul. Do you remember that?
Because it was balsamic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that just fits so perfectly with the hermit's energy, the healing balm for our soul, a time of stillness and quiet. And we know that this phase of the moon is nearing total darkness, which really speaks to what the hermit is literally walking through in this card, but also metaphorically. In this card, there's an owl. Owls represent wisdom, and there are some white flowers. White symbolizing purification, divinity, protection, transformation, healing, and peace. In my Medicine Woman Tarot deck, this is the card that is renamed Guide. And I find a lot of comfort and reassurance in that because shadow work and personal inventories can feel really lonely. But knowing that there's a guide or that you have support is definitely, to me, a comforting and reassuring sort of fact. The robed figure is standing on an incline with outstretched hands in front of mountains and either the full moon or the sun. It's something round and yellow. So I think that could be open to each person's interpretation. The mountains in the background sort of turn into, and we'll post pictures, but it's almost like the mountains turn into these lines of varying thickness. And to me, this speaks to the layers that we sift through on a healing journey. We've all heard healing is not linear, like there's always kind of the next layer to go through. And so that image is sort of conveying that to me. And the font on this card that spells out guide is really interesting because some of the letters are capitalized. It's like kind of cursive, kind of not, but the I is really, it really stands out. And it's a lowercase I, but it's the tallest letter. Sort of, I think, reinforcing that this is like a very personal, can be a very personal time. In my Antique Anatomy Tarot, we see a skull, but it's attached to something. Like something is attached to the back of the skull, making the skull look much larger. And there's a candle sitting on top of whatever the skull is attached to. And so I started thinking that maybe this skull attachment, if you will, represents the collective unconsciousness. We've talked about this in past episodes, that the collective unconscious is where the archetypes, the hero's journey, these other universal life experiences kind of live and connect all of us. And growing out from the skull and what I started calling the collective skull are some white flowers. So we see the imagery of white flowers again. And in my fourth and final deck, Mystic Mondays, we have a figure who I think appears to be naked. And what's really interesting is her cloak or her robe is like a transparent wrap. The figure has her back towards us, and she's facing this large square that appears to be reflective, like a mirror. So to me, this imagery suggests that energy of self-reflection. And this card actually matches the colors in the guide's cloak from my Medicine Woman deck. There's a lot of greens and blues and purples. Green representing earth, healing, health, fertility, money, and work, as in like our career work. Blue symbolizes clarity, truth, and knowledge. And purple, our intuition, psychic abilities, and divination. And so to me, these three colors each represent the healing journeys of mind, body, and then spirit or soul. So those are my cards.
In my 4 cards, starting with the Spirit Song Tarot, the author has 9, the Hermit, and they chose the koala. And the 2 words they have written on that card are contemplation and wisdom. Koala energy can be seen as calm and observant, slowing down and stepping away from distractions of the world. And I don't know a lot specifically about koalas, but I think the author was really focusing on the koala being observant. of being calm and quiet and watching the world go by. I think that was the energy that they were putting across in choosing the koala for this card. In the Wild Unknown Tarot, they're using the Roman numeral IX, the Hermit, with the keywords of solitude and meditation. The image on this card is of a turtle with its legs and head retracted into the shell, but you can see part of the turtle's face. On the top of the turtle shell is it's a lantern. I almost thought it was a candle, but it's not. It's a lantern with a light emanating from it with yellow and orange in it. I really, really like this card as far as like for an animal representation of the hermit. The cloak in this card is the shell of the hermit. And we talked a little bit about this in the Zodiac Cancer episode about shelled creatures representing journeys of the human soul and journeys and quests and the journey itself. So you can see the author using the symbol of the turtle in this one. And in their meanings, they said it's a time to step back, to retreat from day-to-day life and focus on your inner realm. The turtle is literally within itself. But also returning to your inner realm so that you can light your own fire. They made a note, the author made a note in here, they were talking about meditation being one of the key elements of connecting with the hermit energy. Meditation. If you're not a meditator, this is the time to try. And if you get this card, then it's the challenge, or the next step would be, what's your meditation practice and have you tried it? This card might be a sign it's time to add in meditation into your routine. In the Secrets of the Witch's Garden, they're using IX for the number Roman numeral 9, hermit, and the key word there is seclusion. In this card, the figure is stepping out of the cottage, clothed in a beautiful green cloak. Looks like, and it looks like a female character, looks like they are going on a journey. They have some dried herbs and a little bag full of her materials and holding a lantern. Her face is facing outward and away from the cottage. The green cloak for me is a connection to the earth of Virgo and the earthiness of the sign. The author makes a note in their guidebook that truth is cultivated when focus is turned inward. Contemplative practice breeds wisdom. So this is another image of a lone figure with a lantern. In this particular one, you can see that the door is closing behind her, that she is going on a journey. She is going somewhere to find that place where they can turn their attention inward. In the Sacred She tarot deck, Roman numeral 9, and the word is solitude written on that card. The picture on this card is a bald figure with a cloak with a patchwork of colors and patterns, walking through doors into a green forest glade. In this imagery, the cloak is a physical representation of all of life's lessons. So the cloak in this image is a patchwork of everything that you've learned. I love that. I love the thought of that. Again, going back to like my cloak, like what kind of cloak would you get? How would you wear it? When would you wear it? But the figure is also turning away from us, like the figure in your deck where the figure is walking towards the reflective surface. This figure is walking away from us towards the glade, into the forest, which in this case would be symbolizing the seclusion or symbolizing the removal from the everyday world. Walking through the doors. And one of the questions that this author said is, what does a retreat from daily life mean to you? And a retreat from your daily life is very different from a retreat from my daily life. So in The Sacred She, the author there was kind of like the lesson from Virgo, don't let perfect get in the way of good, that your retreat is exactly how big or how small you need it to be, that it's manageable for us. We don't have to go on a retreat to have a retreat from our daily life.
I really like all those cards, and the koala was one of my favorite animals in
Aww.
elementary school. And I remember doing a report on koalas, I don't know, in like second grade or something. And they sleep almost all day, like 22 hours a
Oh.
day. So that came to mind almost immediately.
And that is why the author of that deck was probably like, they are calm, they are collected. And when you sleep all day, that is you processing your information and being in your dream world and being in your internal, environment.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I don't know a lot about koalas. It makes me want to know more.
When I was preparing my notes, I I love Star Wars, and
Mm-hmm.
a lot of, well, not a lot, one of my books said the archetype of the hermit could be related to Yoda or Obi-Wan Kenobi. Makes total sense. But before I read that, I was thinking about Star Wars. And in The Empire Strikes Back, Luke Skywalker is on Dagobah. He's with Yoda. And he is about to go into that like creepy, dark kind of cave.
Mm-hmm.
And he fights the imaginary Darth Vader. And right before he goes into that dark, creepy cave, Luke asks Yoda, "What's in there?" And Yoda says back to Luke, "Only what you take with you."
Mm-hmm.
And that to me is a hermit moment. So I'm just throwing that out there.
Absolutely.
In my Medicine Woman guidebook, she uses the phrase spiritual apprenticeship to describe the hermit card. And this is where the idea of being willing to lead or guide others up the mountain or through a healing journey kind of comes from. And I can't help but think about sponsorship in 12-step programs.
Mm.
A sponsor is somebody who is willing to help you because they have been through it themselves. To me, the Hermit card is very much about soul searching, and a lot we've talked about the radical personal inventory, shadow work, and again in 12-step recovery programs, this would be the fourth step, creating your personal inventory,
Mm-hmm.
which is very much in line with going within and shadow work. I also see this card as solitude is replenishing, rest is productive, us nourishing ourselves, that energy of like a retreat and restoring our strength and vitality, which is kind of what I think I'm doing during this Virgo season.
Yeah.
I'm kind of coincidentally, I didn't plan it to be basically almost perfectly aligned with Virgo season, but it is. And I'm in Canada again for a month. And the words that kept coming to mind yesterday for this time that I'm here is convalescence. Great word. It feels kind of old timey, but that's exactly how this trip feels to me and the energy of the Hermit card, as well as like recuperation, introspection, retreating, withdrawing from daily routine, withdrawing from the sixth house stuff, shedding the ideas and opinions of others and figuring out what you think and feel on your own. That came from my Antique Anatomy guidebook, and I love that. That is one of the gifts I think of a 12-step recovery program, is figuring out who you are, what you feel, what you think, what you value, and kind of getting rid of the expectations of other people. And my last note here, this is from one of my books, and it said, the hermit uses isolation as an element of research. And this is very mercurial and very Virgoan. I like saying it that way, mercurial and Virgoan. For reversals, it depends on your situation. You could be too reclusive. You could be isolating, avoiding, antisocial. You could be lonely. So not maybe self-imposed isolation, but you want that connection and you're not getting it. You've become too self-reliant, or you've been in your hermit shell and the reversal is signaling to you that it's time to come out of your shell, to share your authentic self with other people, share what you've learned by connecting with other people, kind of stepping into that like guide or that sponsor role where you're willing to lead. A hermit in reverse could also be a sign that you're not trusting yourself, you're not listening to that inner voice or your own inner knowing. Or, and I'm sure there's plenty more, but the other one I jotted down is a fear of being alone, or you refuse to look deeply within yourself.
The question in The Secrets of the Witch's Garden, the question sets that I absolutely love that the author put in there to write the reversal is, how can I put myself first? So in all of those different scenarios, you can see that sometimes it's hard to answer that question. How can I put myself first? You have to really know yourself and really do an inventory of what do you need? What do you need in that moment?
Yeah. What do you need? And I think in that moment is key, because it totally depends on what's happening in your life. This year, 2025, the Hermit is my year path card, or like my card for the year. So if you take 2025 plus your birth month plus your birth date, and you want to add up all the digits and reduce it to a number between 1 and 21, and that is your year path card, and mine's the Hermit, which just makes so much sense. This is my second month-long trip away, and with Epstein-Barr virus, it's almost like I've been forced into a sort of like secluded state because I'm dealing with recovery. And this is also my second year of sobriety. So there is also this element of figuring out, who am I? What do I value? What do I believe? What expectations are coming from other people that I carry with me? So it makes so much sense to me that the Hermit card is my 2025 card. Like yes, it is.
That works out so well. Last year, I had a tarot calendar from this fantastic online company. And in the beginning of the year, you draw a card for the overall year. And then every month has a card. And for 2024, the year I was doing that calendar, the Hermit was my year card. And that was a huge year. 2024 was a huge year for me. That was my first year of that's sobriety when I quit drinking that year. And I changed so much. I gave up so much. I quit a job. I stopped socializing. I lost touch with a whole group of people that I thought were very important to me. I stepped away. I stopped doing a lot of things. I made, lots of changes, and I did seclude myself. And it was absolutely needed. Absolutely needed. That was the way I needed to change myself so that I could have what I have right now. That's the Virgo lesson, is the things that you do every day so that you can have the life that you want in the future. That was 2024, the hard path of cutting ties and not going to places and not going to restaurants and not going to social events. And then now I'm in 2025 and I have so much more freedom and so much more time and so much more of my true healthy self to do the things that I want to do. And I didn't know that then, that year. I thought I was just going to not have any friends and live all alone by myself. Like you think you need these things, and sometimes it turns out you don't. You don't need them at all to have the life that you actually want to live. That was the Hermit card for me. It was my guiding light. It was my guiding light. And I struggled with stepping away from social groups and stepping away from friend groups. I struggled with that because I thought that that was very important to have that community. And I do need community, but I didn't need that community. I found another community. I found another group of people that I connect with today. And I wouldn't have found them. I wouldn't have found that tribe. I wouldn't have found that community if I hadn't let go of the other community. I had to isolate. I had to let go. I had to cut ties.
Yeah. And I feel like that's where I am now.
Mm-hmm.
I need to be secluded, and it's really about refining my inner world. And then at some point, I will re-engage with the world. But this moment in my life is definitely calling for the hermit's energy and lessons. And so
yeah, it's
will
also
do.
it's also the transition from one part of the journey into the other part of the journey. So we are both in, I'd say, the transition part. The old habits giving way to the new habits.
Mhm.
I mean, and it has nothing to do with age. It has to do with where we are and what we want for the next part of our lives. So it is very transitional as well.
Are you ready for the messages from the universe?
Yes.
I have two cards from the Archangel Oracle by Christina Oroche. And the first card is self reflection, very hermit like. This, the picture on the card is a figure standing on a mountain looking out. So,
Okay.
self reflection, self contemplation, and connection. Message from Archangel Azrael. Take time in stillness and solitude to reflect. Allow yourself to let go of parts that no longer serve you. This card is showing up to lead you in self-contemplation and connection with yourself. You are being guided to take some time for self-reflection into the parts of you that need to be seen, heard, and acknowledged. Sometimes we move through life very fast and fall into our habitual patterns rather than being intentional. This is an opportunity for you to reflect on where you can be more intentional in your life, as well as seeing where some habits are no longer serving you. This is an opportunity for you to become more present and intentional about what you are doing and thinking so that you may live in the truth and embodiment of who you desire to be. I feel like we were just saying all of this.
Yeah.
In doing so, you are creating space for all aspects of your true self to come forward. Call on Archangel Azrael to support you with this process. He will help you see and acknowledge the parts of you that are ready to be released. Release them with love and gratitude, and then invite in the aspects of who you are ready to be. At first, it might feel uncomfortable, but remember that this is only because it is unfamiliar to you, which I feel like is the 9 numerology from the Hermit card.
Mm-hmm.
Trust in yourself and that you are being guided into a higher level of consciousness to embody. Journaling prompts: what am I ready to let go of? What parts of me are ready to be seen, heard, and loved? And card 2, claim your power, rise to the occasion. Message from Archangel Uriel. Where are you giving your power away in this situation? Recognize that you are capable and you are supported. Trust in yourself and your ability to receive divine solutions now. The challenges we experience in life are opportunities for us to build our inner resilience, strength, and trust in who we are. You are receiving this card because you are being called forward to hold your inner divine power despite any challenges you are currently facing. When we stay in a space of disempowerment and victimhood, we prevent ourselves from receiving clear answers and solutions. Call on Archangel Uriel to support you with remembering your divine truth and power. He is here to help you access a deeper level of strength and resilience. As you hold this energy, divine solutions will be revealed. This card is also a reminder that you are capable of moving through any challenging situation. You are ready to rise up to the occasion that you are being called forward into. It is a reminder that the depth of power you learn to access through this is what will hold you moving forward on your journey. The vision you hold and desire to manifest in your life requires this newfound power and resilience. By cultivating this now, you are supporting yourself for desires to become your reality. This challenging situation is a blessing in disguise. Trust in yourself and that you are not only capable, but you were meant to transcend this. Journaling prompt: where am I currently feeling disempowered, and what truth is ready to be embodied instead? Thank you, universe.
Thank you, universe.
And next week, we are back with, I think, the 8, 9, and 10 of Pentacles. Yes.
Yes. Virgo, full Virgo season cards. We're going to be talking about harvesting all kinds of things.
So until then, listeners, thank you so much. We love you. Take care. Bye.
Bye. Thank you for listening to this episode. The Radical Podcast is created and produced by Nicole and Christina.
Music by Van Horton. His Instagram is Van Horton Music. Stay in touch with us at linktr.ee/theradicalpodnc.